Which Scalextric set did you yearn for as a kid? Or if you were lucky enough, which one did you have? I'm at Scalextric HQ in the south of England to nerd out in slot car heaven. There have been so many classic sets over the last 60 years. I had the Lotus 79, but there was also the mighty Metro figure of 8 and the stunning Le Mans 24-hour box sets. Although you may have gazed in wonderment at one of these cars racing around your bedroom floor, have you ever actually wondered what's going on underneath? There's actually some pretty cool engineering happening.
First up, the cars.
A Scalextric car is made up of a base chassis, which houses the wheels, an electric motor and some wiring. The bodywork then attaches to the base chassis along with a little driver inside, ready to race. Underneath the car, you'll find a small plastic rotating disc with a plastic blade down the middle. On either side there are small metal contacts, and this whole thing makes up the guide blade, and this is the direct contact between the car and the track. When the electricity reaches the guide flag, it spins up the electric motor, which then spins up the rear wheels and sends the car on its way. So technically a Scalextric car is a rear wheel drive EV, which is why it has that instant torque to sprint off the line and also drift around the corner if you give it some.
Now these are my personal favourites. The 1988 Jaguar XJR9, a Group C Le Mans legend seen here in the Castro livery used for IMSA, the beautiful shape, the sleek rear wing and even a set of Venturi tunnels. What a stunner. Next up, the brand new Ginetta LMP1 car. It's currently racing in the World Endurance Championship and this thing looks stunningly functional in this chrome finish. I'd have this on my mantelpiece if I could. Next year, you guys can buy a set of Tyrrell P34 six-wheelers. Just look at the details, especially that tiny little exposed DFV engine. Next, the track.
The track uses metal rails that run down either side so that two cars can race at once. The rails then connect to each track section to form a closed loop, which is hardwired into a special power-based section of the track where a 15-volt transformer plugs into the mains. So I guess it's kind of like bumper cars, but instead of the electricity being conducted through the ceiling, it's conducted through the metal rails and then up through the guide blade.
And finally, the controller.
Nowadays, the controllers work via Bluetooth, sending a signal to the power base next to the track. The power base then sends that signal to another Bluetooth chip and it's changed into an analog output. That output is then sent to the track and changes how much electricity is sent to each car, I guess exactly like the old method. So as long as you're within range of the power base, you should be good to go. And these things have a range of up to 100 meters if you fancy doing your Scalextric from that sort of distance. Also, you can get a hardwire controller if that's more your type of thing. Coming here today hasn't half made me nostalgic. I had a simple setup as a kid, but I've seen the full potential of these toys now. There's the massive track layouts that you can make, the iconic cars that you can race, and also I've realised just how difficult it is to get one of these things around the track quickly without crashing it. Anyway, while I have a practice, we all know James is a massive Scalextric guy. So let's hear why Scalextric is so special to him.
I suppose it's a nice childhood memory. I just like miniature engineering and things, and if they're combined with toys, then miniature engineering becomes a thing of joy as well, because it's a connection with childhood. Well, I've been to the Hornby Hobbies HQ several times when I was making Toy Stories. It's actually quite an interesting process, the design of Scalextric cars today, because they often use the CAD/CAM data from real cars simplify it, and then use that to sort of 3D print, say, a prototype body from which they will then engineer a mould in which they can make injection moulded plastic bodies. So the little model cars are actually lovely little models, regardless of their Scalextric capabilities.
So that's what May had to say, but why do you guys like Scalextric? And do you have a favourite slot car? Tell us in the comments below.